This is the Sun. It is roughly 865,000 miles in diameter, and it is the center of our solar system, which contains 8 planets, and each one will get its own video. The Sun, at its core, is 15 million degrees Celsius, or 27 million degrees in freedom units. The Sun has a phenomenon on its surface known as sunspots. They are these tiny little spots on its surface. You see them? Look how small they are. Well, joke's on you, they're the size of the entire Earth. Sunspots are a cooler area on the sun's surface because of its crazy magnetic field. The reason why it's so crazy is that the turning of plasma creates the sun's magnetic field. These knots can break off, taking the plasma with it, which is how we get solar flares. Plasma behaves basically like a giant magnet, which will become apparent when I describe what plasma is later. Still, it generates magnetic fields and flows along them, which, as I said, can get knotted and cause solar flares. The Sun is considered a third-generation star, which means the star was born from a supernova and then turned supernova, repeat that, and now you have our Sun. The Sun is a main sequence star, and stars of its size make up roughly 10% of the Milky Way stars. The Sun is mainly composed of hydrogen and helium in their plasma state. Now, you might be starting to wonder, why won't you tell me what plasma is? And there is no reason. I'm writing the script out of order, so it's challenging to keep track of everything and make it make sense. Anyway, there are 4 states of matter. That's right, your second grade teacher lied to you. You have solid, liquid, gas, and finally, plasma. There is technically a 5th state, which is quark-gluon plasma, and as I said, technically a 5th state, at least by my poor standards. So, now let's look at the atoms and their interactions in the different states. Let's use water as a reference. At 0 degrees Celsius, water freezes and forms a crystalline structure. In water, they form hexagons, which is why snowflakes always have 6 arms. The liquid state of water exists between 0 Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius, but those numbers fluctuate because of air pressure and contamination. Water molecules in liquid form can freely pass each other at this temperature, allowing them to fill their container and flow. The 3rd state is gas, and at 100 degrees Celsius, water begins to boil. Water cannot increase in temperature at this point, and will just boil faster if you add more energy. This is because the atoms, damn it, the radio went out. Hey! Yeah, the radio went out, the video's too long. Can you turn the channel to something else, please? Okay. Yeah, the radio. Yeah, right there. Can you... Thanks. There we go, that's better. Okay, anyway, where were we? Oh, right. That is because the atoms can now move so quickly, they not only break the surface tension, but can now freely float in the atmosphere. Now, finally, plasma. For plasma, you have to look at the anatomy of an atom. An atom has a nucleus and an orbiting electron. At this speed, the nucleus jiggles around so much that the electron just stops orbiting it and freely flows around, creating a soup of atom nuclei and electrons. Now, back to the Sun. As I said, the Sun is made of plasma because the Sun is hot. The corona of the Sun is more than 1 million degrees, which is the bit that gives the Sun its halo. The Sun's surface is a lot cooler than the corona, at 5,500 degrees Celsius, or roughly the same temperature as the core of the Earth. Please don't ask me why, nobody knows why. Now, the Sun is big, and has a lot of mass, and you probably know that when things get massive, their gravity causes them to compact on all sides, which forms them into a sphere. The problem is, the Sun is massive. So massive, it would collapse under its own gravity, but it doesn't because of a little thing called fusion. Now, what is fusion? Fusion is when 2 nuclei smash into each other to form heavier nuclei. So, hydrogen fusing would make helium, helium fuses into carbon, carbon fuses into neon, neon fuses into magnesium, magnesium fuses into silicon, and eventually iron, which stars can't fuse because of just how stable it is. Fusing atoms is incredibly difficult here on Earth. With the best of fusion technology, we have sustained fusion for a whopping 17 minutes and 36 seconds, which doesn't quite beat the Sun's record of 4 billion years. Still, though, the Sun cheats. It has a little thing called gravity. You see, it is so hard to do fusion here on Earth because nuclei are positively charged. So, to fuse them, they have to make contact, and if you have ever tried to make two magnets touch the same poles, you know it's challenging. Damn it, the radio again? Hey! Yeah, the radio. It's not playing anything anymore. I don't know, the video hasn't ended yet. What do you mean this hasn't been a problem before? I just told you. Just get the radio done. Oh, real mature. Just change the channel already. Jesus Christ, man. Thank you. Thank you. What were we talking about? Oh, right. Because the sun has a powerful gravitational pull, it smashes the nuclei together, forcing them to fuse, which creates a force pushing the star apart, which counterbalances the pull from gravity, creating a precarious balance between implosion and explosion. The sun will live for another 7 billion years or so. As fusion happens inside the star, stars fuse heavier and heavier elements, as I said before, releasing more and more energy. Since this energy acts as a force, pushing radially outwards, more force means the star increases in diameter. So, the sun will get hotter, and bigger, at which point it will become a red giant star. These things are no joke. When it becomes a red giant, the sun will have a diameter of roughly 1 billion kilometers, or 600 million miles. As you know, when I was referring to fusion, I was saying that nuclei of atoms fuse together to form heavier nuclei. This keeps going down the line until it reaches iron. However, for nearly all stars, they will not reach that iron phase of fusion. For stars like our sun, for instance, after they start fusing helium instead of hydrogen, the amount of energy that will be released that will cause the sun to expand to 1 billion kilometers will make it so that way the outer layers of the star are so far away from the center of mass, the star will just shed its outer layers until all that is left is the core, a white dwarf. Because fusion has ended by this point, there is no force keeping it expanded, so it starts to compact on itself and get denser. So dense, in fact, a teaspoon of white dwarf would weigh roughly 15 tons. These white dwarfs are hot, roughly 100,000 degrees Celsius or around 200,000 degrees Fahrenheit. These stars are like the ghosts of the stars they once were, and will last for hundreds of billions of years, only cooling down slowly. After the white dwarf phase, after the star has cooled down enough, it will eventually become a black dwarf. Black dwarfs release no visible light, and if white dwarfs are ghosts, then black dwarfs are corpses. They will just exist for trillions, trillions, and quadrillions, and octillions of years to the end of time. It is debatable whether the sun will swallow the Earth and destroy it, but just for an idea, the sun will live for another 7 billion years before it becomes a white dwarf. After 1 billion years, the oceans will boil away, and humans only started farming for around 0.001% of that billion-year time we have left. In that 0.001% of that time, we have gone from hunter-gatherers to apes with smartphones. Who knows what we will be when we reach 0.002%.